What's kicking, everybody? We are back for another episode of Pickin Fights. I'm Keith, joined as always by my good friend Tom. Tom, how are you today, brother?
Doing good. Good to see you, Keith, as always. Technical difficulties. If you've been following me on Twitter, you've seen that we had initial start time of 10:30. Technical difficulties, had to push that back to 10:40. And then we kind of threw in the towel a little bit, said, screw it, let's run it anyway. So now we're coming to you live at 10:34 a.m. Sunday, July 15th, the day
January.
after. All right. Either way, some J month. Early in the year. It's cold outside.
I wish it was July. That would be great.
I don't know what's wrong with me. Why I said June then July. I don't know. January 15th, UFC Vegas 15. UFC Vegas 67 just went down last night. I think it was. It was the card where we had Sean Strickland step in on short notice, 3 days notice, come in and get the win over Nassourdine Imavov. He looked fantastic, got back to his vicious style of fighting, but that was all superseded by the largest announcement that came out by accident prior to the fight even starting, any fights even starting for that matter. Francis Ngannou is basically gone from the UFC, free to sign wherever he wants. Dana White confirmed it in the press conference. And we have at UFC 285, if I can get any title correct, UFC Vegas 285, we have Jon Jones taking on Ciryl Gane for the UFC Heavyweight Championship, the first one in a while. Keith, what are your thoughts on that? There's a lot going on here. Jon Jones is back. He's going to be in Vegas, which has historically been not great for him personally. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so yeah, UFC 285, right? I think that's what it is.
I hope so. I can't afford to get another thing wrong.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou isn't basically gone. He's gone. They waived their right to match, any sort of contract that comes at him next. He's gone. He's no longer with the UFC. He's been spotted at family events where like his mom and aunts are wearing PFL t-shirts.
Right.
It's a bit crazy to begin with, considering he was not signed to the PFL. So, that's one way for your family to be like, hey, here's where he's going next without outwardly saying it. But, he's gone. Jon Jones, the villain, is back against, the ultimate good guy in the UFC too, in Ciryl Gane, which is nuts because, Ciryl Gane just came in here as the face, and Jon Jones has like always been the heel of the light heavyweight division. Stipe's out of the picture, which is crazy too. I guess my prediction is Jon Jones beats Ciryl Gane, and then Stipe comes in and Stipe beats Jon Jones. But
interesting. On the same wavelength as you. I think, obviously we got the Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. We saw Ciryl Gane have some grappling woes, to say the least, against Francis Ngannou, who's not known for his grappling ability. But here's the thing: Ciryl Gane is still young in his UFC MMA career, still kind of learning some different aspects of mixed martial arts. So interested to see how he comes out and how he looks against Jon. But initially, Jon Jones is going to have the advantage in the grappling. There's no way that Ciryl Gane is going to match that level, even to a 2 years off at a 60-pound heavier Jon Jones. I don't see there being too much pushback from Ciryl Gane on the ground. I think maybe he'll do well, maybe better than you think in the first initial, but it is a 5-round fight for at 25 minutes in the cage there, with probably one of the best mixed martial artists to ever do it, regardless of weight class. I think Ciryl Gane's going to have an issue there, but what I'm a little concerned about for Jon Jones then would be Ciryl Gane and those low calf kicks. It's something that we've seen Ciryl do a lot, try to beat up the legs, and we know legs are not the strongest part of Jon Jones. They're probably the weakest part. Not going into anything personally with his family. If we're talking about weaknesses for Jon Jones, cocaine is what I'm really alluding to. I think cocaine is his biggest weakness, and then his shins.
Well, you got domestic abuse.
That's in there too. But with Dana White, and it seems like that unfortunately just gets shoved under the rug. Brett Okamoto asked Dana White yesterday, like, hey, like some people, you're back, you're doing this. Some people think there should be punishments for you. And Dana said, like, well, I'm punished in my personal life. What else matters? Like, this is great, but I was going to leave during the acquisition in 2016. I was potentially not going to put on fights during the pandemic and leave there too. So like, I like doing this. It's fun. I enjoy it, but I don't have to do it. The only thing that matters is my personal life, and that's where I'm suffering, which not that answer, right? It deflects.
The show, though, that's been his policy with John Jones with everything over the past like decade or so.
But hasn't he also said things that like, you can't do that, and like also kind of went on the other side and tried to take more strict punishments for domestic violence incidents?
I can't really think of any.
I feel like he had. I feel like sometimes Dana, depending on the situation, depending on the fighter,
because they signed Greg Hardy to the UFC.
Right, that's what it was, and he put her on a card with I think it was, I don't know. There was a female fighter on that card who had just gotten out of a domestic had a domestic violence situation against her, and it was actually a really, really bad one. Not that some of them aren't bad, but it was a really bad one, and putting her on the same card, being in the same building with Greg Hardy, showed a little bit of not a little bit, but a decent bit of the kind of tastelessness that sometimes can go on in the name of putting on maybe a fun event or ultimately making money. So it makes sense that Dana's going to flip flop, I guess.
I don't think he's flip flopped at all. I think he's just been very like his policy is basically like, well, if you're branded as a domestic abuser, that's going to hurt you for the rest of your life in the public eye. But not when it comes to the UFC. You're going to continue making money here, and you could have a contract and sign for more fights. And because John Jones, to get off this topic a little bit, John Jones did just sign an 8-fight deal with the UFC, and which is crazy because you have Francis, who was he had the opportunity to sign a contract to make more money than Brock Lesnar ever did. And Brock Lesnar being the highest paid heavyweight in UFC history, I believe.
And I looked that up. Brock Lesnar, I don't know how accurate this is, but it said Brock Lesnar during his time with the UFC made around $4 million. Honestly, to be the highest paid heavyweight, I would want to know what that means. He's saying he would be the highest heavyweight ever paid. How much is that really? Is that a lot of money? You know what I mean?
That includes pay-per-view points.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Brock Lesnar ended up cashing out $4 million, I just don't understand. I think saying that is too general to give us an idea of how good that offer was. Like, yeah, I would have made him the highest paid gas station attendant of all time. Okay, but that's still maybe $100,000. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, I think just saying he would have been the highest paid heavyweight of all time. Historically, heavyweights have not been paid the best. So I think that's a little bit of sleight of hand from Dana White there, maybe making the deal sound better than it was. And then also in that same press conference, and I'll pass it back to you. Sorry for talking so much. In that same press conference, he had said, like, Francis basically just doesn't want to compete at this level anymore. So that's, I think, another like twist he's doing to the whole thing.
I sort of believe that when he was saying that yesterday. And yeah, that's also Dana White's way of saying, like, like in street words or just in common vernacular, like Francis is straight pussy. Like he doesn't want to fight John Jones because he's a fucking pussy. And that was Dana White's way of saying that. Which, I can get with that a little bit. I think Francis's thing is more so just like he values himself way higher than I think anybody else does. And sure, as a fan, he's entertaining and he's fun to watch, and he's an interesting variable because as everybody says, he has that nuclear option to just knock somebody out. But I don't think that anybody is bigger than the UFC at this point in time, except for maybe a few big names, right? Like you have your Conor McGregors, who fans will follow them if they go anywhere. But I don't think Francis is there yet, and that's because of a lack of activity on Francis's part. If he really wanted to be that guy that people are going to follow to, say, the PFL, then he should have fought more than 2 times over the past 2 years. So he's not that guy, pal. And I don't think at this point he's ever going to be that guy. Will he make his money in the PFL? Absolutely, especially with the acquisition they made of Jake Paul, or the signing of Jake Paul, so to speak. And now like they have that deal that fighters are going to make 50% of the pay-per-view. But what's 50% of nothing?
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the other thing too. Anytime that PFL or Bellator tries to put on pay-per-views, nothing happens. And I know pay-per-view numbers are down basically across the board, especially for the UFC, but I think that's more with the cost of the pay-per-view than the actual product is being put out. PFL pay-per-views, I think I saw were like $25, $30, and they still can't sell them. I want to try something real quick, Keith. I'm going to add our screen here, and I want to see if this will come through.
We offered Francis a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in the history of the company, more than Lesnar, more than anybody. And he turned the deal down. I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money. So we're gonna let him do that. We're gonna release him from his contract. We're gonna give up our right to match, and he can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, they did. That was cool. They did wait until John Jones was ready to go, though, too, which makes me laugh a little bit. It's like, okay, we're getting rid of our one marquee star because there's another even bigger marquee star coming in. Because how long did it take for them to release Francis Ngannou? This was basically like 2 years, 2.5 years, right? That
I heard 350 dinners with Hunter Campbell.
Yeah, that was the number thrown out there, right? And over 2 years, what is that? Like
How is that possible? I'm sorry. 365 days in a year. That's 730 days. You had 350 dinners over 700. That's one every other day.
Yeah, that's like 2 dinners a week at least. Like
I think it's more. It's literally like 350 is just under half.
Another day, actually. Yeah, what the fuck?
45. There's no way it was 350 dinners.
Hunter Campbell and with Francis Ngannou at dinner more than like anybody else in Francis's circle. I guess Francis married. I mean, he wasn't married to Hunter Campbell at this point.
That's what I was gonna say. If I didn't know any better, I would say those two are freaking dating.
Yeah.
And bro, can you imagine how much money they spent? I mean, it's whatever in the grand scheme of things, right? We're probably talking like a couple tens of thousands, maybe $100,000. It's nothing over the course of 2 years for the UFC, but Francis is fucking over 300 pounds. He can eat, and they're not going anywhere less than 5 stars. They're not going to Chili's down the street. They're not getting Chipotle. Like 350 dinners at Ruth's Chris level or above. Bro, that bill is nothing. That's Francis's signing bonus right there. How about that? All this free 5-star meals.
Yeah, but that's also, you mentioned the fact that he's over 300 pounds right now. That's another reason why I'm okay with
injury.
Well, he looks very out of shape. Like when you see him on, like social media posts and interviews and stuff, he doesn't look like, he's even close to being able to step into an octagon at this point. And yeah, it's because of his injury, but I just don't see him training. Like, not that I'm watching Francis Ngannou like it's the Truman Show or anything, but I just don't see that from him. Like, even guys that are way out of a fight, they'll post videos of them like doing fucking punches. Like Gilbert Burns could be 6 months out of a fight, and he's posting a video of him doing medicine ball slams at Kill Cliff MMA. And Francis Ngannou trains with Eric Nixick, who's super rigorous and has all of his guys in there all year round. And he hasn't posted a single thing about, and he just looks out of shape for a UFC fighter. So, I think even if they did keep him around, it would be a very long time before he's back and ready to fight somebody. Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected, I guess.
I mean, but listen, he looks big.
Yeah, he normally packs a 6-pack, and
yeah, you could tell that listen, I'm in no area to talk here. And I'm sure that those kicks are hurting Eric Nixick right there. But, considering what we're used to see, look, kicks are coming back slowly. Looks to what we're seeing, we're used to seeing Francis Ngannou be this like crazy force. And he's not the physical specimen ab-wise or body fat-wise that we're used to seeing. But this is a guy who's, like you said, 2 years off, coming off a knee surgery. I'm not like shitting on him or anything. But it's a fact that he's not in fighting shape, and he probably wouldn't have been ready for March. And John Jones wanted to fight in December, and when they couldn't get the deal done with Francis, and he couldn't be ready for March, and he wants boxing, that no one's going to get boxing anymore, and they're already offering him the most money, as the UFC considers the most money they've ever offered any heavyweight ever. I can understand why the deal didn't get done.
Yeah, and the boxing is a big part for sure because you have the PFL who's doing the whole Jake Paul thing now, and if he does go there, Jake Paul has like a boxing fight and an MMA fight in his contract. So like it's like a 2-fight contract or something.
Mm-hmm.
So France is probably going to sign a similar deal with them, and then they'll probably sideline Usyk for
Francis to fight Tyson.
Yeah, which it's an easy W, but it just still doesn't hold the same weight though, because now this is a non-UFC Francis Ngannou who will not be holding a heavyweight belt anymore. Will probably just go right into that boxing fight, out of practice, untrained. I won't be buying that pay-per-view because while they'll try and sell it the same way that they did with McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, it won't be the same.
Well,
it's unfortunate because this should have happened if it was going to happen. The whole boxing deal. It should have happened a year ago, year and a half ago, but now it's just too far too late.
Yeah, that's kind of sometimes how boxing goes, that the fights that you want to happen either don't happen or happen far too late.
Right.
And also, I don't know if you saw it, but
Yeah.
I forget what branch of the government just sees crack streams. So in terms of buying pay-per-views, if you use crack streams, thoughts and prayers, T's and P's out to.
Hit me in my Twitter DMs if you want to find out another really good streaming site. Because crack streams was never the move, and it was always blank. Hit me in my Twitter DMs. Give me a follow. If you're not following and subscribe, then I'm not going to send it to you. But it works 100% of the time.
Is it? Well, hopefully you didn't just jinx it, but is it the one that we're usually talking about, that we're usually using?
Yeah, for the most part, that usually works, right?
Yeah, I've had relatively no issues. I mean, it's like on a 15 to 20-second delay, but I mean that's worth not paying $80.
Yeah,
for me.
I have started buying them though. Unfortunately, I turned into a shill and bought.
Keith's making money. That must mean Keith's making money if he can afford to buy these $8 pay-per-views.
Listen, I won't deny that. But yeah, so I started buying. Like, if it's a pay-per-view I want to see, I'll buy it. If I work some nights, if I know I'm going to be home for it, then or if I'm having people over, especially, I'll buy the pay-per-view. And I actually gave in.
Yeah. If I'm having people over, I don't want to be, finessing with the computer or whatever. Like I'll just buy that. If you have like 4 people over, everybody throw in $10. Like right. I'm the one who's going to care most about it anyway. So I don't mind paying $40 for pay-per-view and then get, everybody, what's the word? Supplement me with,
what's funny though is like a night, like, so last night, I'm hanging out trying to watch the card and I forgot I had ESPN Plus and I have my streaming site open on my Prime stick on my TV. And I'm like, Imavov versus Strickland. Let me throw that on. And I'm like, wait, I have fucking ESPN Plus. Why am I watching it on here?
Yeah. Listen, I heard, I think it was Boogerbeard was talking about how they're going to cancel their UFC Plus subscription because it's buggy and it crashes, this and that.
Yeah.
Mine didn't crash. Actually, mine did the opposite of crashing. I tried to turn it off at the end watching Dan Ige talk to Juliana Pena. And Juliana Pena, let me tell you, she asks some of the stupidest questions, and they're so long form. She repeats them 6 times and then continues to ask them. Like, she asked Sean Strickland, like, oh, Sean, like, how do you feel about getting towards – he had just finished saying, like, I'm here to fight for money. I lost to Alex. He is the champion. I'm probably not going to get a title shot anytime soon. So I'm here to show up and make money. That's why I came here today. I'll fight my entire corner if the UFC at the same time, if the UFC offers me the right amount of money. Like, that's what he said. She goes, so about getting to the belt, it's like, where are you coming from with these questions? I cannot stand Juliana Pena talking, but you know who I like a lot? Michael Chiesa is really growing on me. He has some really good, insightful questions. Nevertheless, they're talking to Dan Ige. I'm tired. It's like 11:15. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm trying to turn it off. The thing won't turn off. So I've had the opposite problem. Like, people saying, like, oh, there's crashes. I literally cannot turn mine off. A little side note.
They held you hostage last night, it sounds like.
Seriously. But speaking of pay-per-views, we're here to talk about a pay-per-view, UFC 283. We got Glover Teixeira taking on Jamal Hill. That's going to be great. We got the first quadrilogy of all time, Davis and Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno, a new Brandon Moreno, a Brandon Moreno that is going to be for the first time training with Saif Saud. And not Out of Glory MMA and Fitness. He went on Ariel Helwani earlier this week to talk about how as soon as it was coming out, I think he was called and James Krause called him and he immediately made the switch to Safe, which Safe Saud just won what do you call it? Gym of the Year. I'm losing it today. They just won Gym of the Year. But speaking of, before we get into that real quick, I want to just talk about Eric Nicksick and give it up to him. I mean, he went 3 fights back to back yesterday, won all 3 of them. You got to look out for Extreme Couture and Extreme Couture fighters. I think your guy is over there now, Italian Stallion.
Oh, Vittori, yeah, he trains.
Yeah, Marvin. Yeah, those two, you could tell that they just show up every day and they don't drill, they just fight.
Yeah, no, that's like a murder gym. Like, guys just show up there. Sean Strickland was talking last night about how like Phil Hawes showed up, and he was like, I mean, listen, if you haven't seen the clip, go watch it. Basically about how he wanted to, like, I don't even want to say it. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you haven't seen it, look up Sean Strickland talking about sparring with Phil Hawes. It's bananas. It's crazy.
Sean Strickland absolutely has no filter. He is on ESPN Plus talking to Michael Chiesa and Juliana Pena about he's like, people see me laughing at the press conferences. I only laugh to look down because I have homicidal thoughts in my head. I'm the kind of guy at my core who I want to cut your head off with a chainsaw. So I have to go and laugh to myself to stop these homicidal thoughts. And then Juliana Pena's like, are you okay? He goes, yeah, no, I'm depressed at my core. I'm a depressed motherfucker. And everyone's like, okay. And they're like, Sean,
I'm waiting for Sigma Male, like TikTok and Twitter, to pick up on Sean Strickland, because I don't know if you're familiar with like the Sigmas on there, but it's all like Robert De Niro from Taxi Driver and fucking Christian Bale in American Psycho saying out of pocket wild shit, and it's memes of them. If my camera was working, I'd do like the Christian Bale face that he always does in those videos. But I'm waiting for like Sigma Male TikTok to pick up on Sean Strickland, because once they get a hold of that guy and they find like the clips that they can cut of him, it's gonna be fucking hilarious. Like,
it was literally last night. Like, he said all of that, and Juliana's like, Sean, we're actually worried about you. He goes, don't be worried about me. Be worried for other people.
Juliana Pena is the only person worried about him. Again, he's just like, there's like a lot of dudes out there that are very similar mindset of Sean Strickland, but we're lucky that Sean Strickland is a cage fighter and not a guy that, wants to
works at Denny's and is plotting something.
Right. Plotting something, or goes to your local bar and finds like people that are incapacitated and fucks them up, or, plotting something.
I think it's good for the world and society that Sean Strickland is known and kind of a celebrity or celebrity adjacent, to maybe quell him from going out and doing things that he maybe would do if he was relatively unknown. Either way, he's an entertaining fighter. He's entertaining to watch talk, and
he's also fights like generic looking though. Like, if there was ever a police sketch of him, that could look like billions of people. It's like a white dude.
White dude, scruffy beard, basically bald.
Yeah, there's no distinctive features whatsoever. So, like, if he really does do something and somebody spots him doing something nefarious, you better hope they're a UFC fan so they could say, yo, that was Sean Strickland. Otherwise, they're just going to have a guy, like a police sketch of a guy that looks like an Aryan brother. And, that'll be it. Nobody will ever catch him. He'll just be like, oh, no, that was like 90% of the world's population above 35.
I was going to look up his Instagram, and I remember that he has been banned a couple of times. So can't pull that up. I was going to look and see if he had cauliflower ear. I don't think he does, or at least it's not too bad. So that's not even like something distinguishing that someone could call him out on.
I don't think he has any tattoos. He's just like the most generic dude out there. Like, he's the starting screen for your creative character in like a Tony Hawk game.
Yeah, exactly. If the only thing that was preset is that his craziness was fucking off the charts.
Yeah. I mean, you could find a billion of him in a trailer park in Alabama.
Don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Listen, last night was really good. I really enjoyed the fights last night.
I like that knockout of Damon Jackson. That was cool. Looked like Damon Jackson tore both of his ACLs when he went down.
When he fell down backwards. Yeah, dude, that was a slick knockout. Good for Dan Ige with the short left hook, like the 6-inch hook, as Damon was dropping his hand. As you could tell, like I think Damon Jackson is a solid fighter, but I don't think he's rank worthy. And I think his most recent knockout of Pat Sabatini was great, but I think if they ran that back, and it's not like Pat Sabatini is a top 15 guy. He's on his way, but and he's good and he's got good grappling, but doesn't have the best stand up. So listen, I think that was probably a product of a Damon Jackson great performance and a bad Pat Sabatini performance that Damon Jackson used to elevate, get the Dan Ige, and then kind of lost a lot of the emotion and the drive because he was just coming off an emotional. I think there was a passing of someone very close to him. So, I think all the emotions kind of maybe ramped him up. Just wasn't his night out there. And Dan Ige looked on fire. I mean, everything was hitting for him. Sticking the jab out there, chasing Damon Jackson around the ring. Damon Jackson always had his back to the cage. Rarely a positive moment for Damon in that fight. So I don't think he'll look back on that too fondly. But the one thing I do want to mention, Umar Nurmagomedov, without Khabib in his corner for I think the first time professionally, comes in there, lands a nice left body kick onto Raoni Barcelos, and then follows it up shortly with the left check or the left hook that got him right on the chin, put Raoni out cold. Umar runs over, gives him the hammer fist to make sure he's out. His head bounces off the canvas, and then Umar catches it and he cradles it and he just puts it down ever so slightly.
Yeah,
it was almost romantic.
Yeah. Listen, I got to be honest though. Maybe I will become like a fucking PFL fan because I'm getting sick of all these Dagestanis just coming up.
I'm not. See, here's the thing about Umar Nurmagomedov. Yes, he's got the great wrestling that comes out of Dagestan, and he's got that crazy power. I don't mean punching power. I mean power of like getting people to the ground, getting the takedowns. He is a weight bully, as a lot of the Dagestanis are, but he's got a fantastic question mark kick, and he's so what's the word where you are really, really accurate? I guess accurate. I think it starts with a D, but he's just he's so fluid with his kicks and that they just kind of flow. And it's great because when you think about it, he throws a lot of teep kicks, a lot of head kicks, a lot of not spinning, but a lot of long roundhouse style kicks that can keep people away from him. And if they get in close, well, then he's just going to grab a leg and then he's going to take you down and then you're in his world. So I think that style of fighter, a really dynamic kicker, like a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson-esque almost on the feet. And then you have a grab. That's your prototype fighter. And then, I know he said after the fight, he goes, Raoni didn't see that left hook coming, and that's why it knocked him out. I still don't believe I have knockout power. That's kind of what I want to see. If he gets overconfident that he has knockout power, then you may see some issues elsewhere. But if he's like, yeah, I still don't think I have knockout power, if he's underestimating himself, I think he's going to go in there and tear people up. I'm really excited for Umar Nurmagomedov.
That I can appreciate, but, I just don't speak Russian, and I'm tired of,
yeah, but Khabib's like, listen, all you guys, you have to learn English. And Umar's Russian is coming along. Like, go back and watch his post-fight interview with Paul Felder. I mean, he's very respectful too. I do like it. He's like, Raoni's a great guy. I knocked him out, but this and that. Like, I really liked the character of Umar Nurmagomedov. I could get behind him. I think I'm a little bored of like the Islam style, but I think Umar brings something extra to the table. Islam has a little bit of boxing and the grappling, and it's boring, and he's going to lay on you, and he's going to pound you out. Ooh, yeah, it's not a pause. But if you start adding in dynamic striking, and then you also have that power game, that grappling game, now I'm interested. I mean, that Raoni Barcelos fight last night, it was purely striking and dynamic striking at that. So I could really get into them. With that being said, also Sean Strickland, it was great for him to return to form. He really feels that he got slighted against Jared Cannonier last month. I think it was a very, 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 very close fight. I'm not mad if it got put to either guy, ultimately, because I think Jared Cannonier is landing the harder shots, and Sean Strickland is landing more volume. It's ultimately comes down to damage. Hard to say. But we saw Sean Strickland come out and be a lot more aggressive this fight. And we saw Nasruddin Imavov, who's normally fighting his fight, fighting Sean Strickland. And we see everybody outside of Jared Cannonier, really, because I think Sean Strickland was a little bit too timid following the knockout from Potan Pereira. But we've seen Sean Strickland come out there, and he basically, against everyone, makes them fight his fight, and he's better at fighting that fight because he's used to it. It's his style. He does it all the time. And Nasruddin Imavov had nothing for him, even when he tried to grapple him. And we saw Sean Strickland use some grappling. He got 2 or 3 takedowns in there just to switch it up. He was landing a really good jab. He had a 1-2, as we always see from him. Sometimes a left hook. When he gets a little wild, he doesn't land as much. He tries to throw maybe power punches, which isn't something that's, a developed skill set of his. But, being that have that pressure, and Sean Strickland rarely takes a step back. If it does, it's 1 step back. Nasruddin Imavov was trying to pressure him and move forward, and they ended up just being tied up. And at 205 pounds, even though he didn't look like the stronger guy, he was still able to muster Imavov over to the fence, move him across the fence a lot of times. Now, Imavov was getting tired, certainly. But taking this fight on 3 days' notice after having Christmas and New Year's, eating cookies, and only getting back in the gym relatively about a week or so ago, Sean Strickland showed a great gas tank.
He was headed on vacation. He was scheduled to go.
He's still heading on vacation. He's snowboarding right now, I bet.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, for a guy that, like, when you're going on vacation, maybe you're working out because you want, like, your abs and whatnot. You're going to be showing on the beach. But
no, he's going snowboarding, man. Yeah, he's.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's a snow vacation. Like, he's just looking to hang out and, do what I'm doing, drink some Irish coffees in a ski lounge somewhere. Not that I'm in a ski lounge, but so he's looking to hang out, but he's the real deal. And we don't want, and he doesn't want, Sean Strickland that's a 5-round point fighter. We want, and he needs for his career, Sean Strickland that's going to go out there and beat the shit out of somebody and at least look to do some damage over time. Great quote from him after the fight, talking about Imavov, the way he looked at me at the press conference. If a guy ever looked at me like that in the street, I'd kill him and then I'd kill his whole family. I look forward to seeing more Sean Strickland. I think he wanted to engage in a lot of those 5-round fights where he just point strikes guys, and I think he knows that's not really a recipe for success in the UFC. Like even the guys that do have 5-round fights and win by decision majority of the time, they're still going out there looking for blood. And the guys that go out there just looking to point strike with somebody for 5 rounds, they're not really the most successful guys. So Sean Strickland, because you have to be looking for the finish. Obviously, don't spend your gas tank in the way that like a Michael Chandler type of guy does, but go out there looking for a finish. And the only guy that I would say is successful as a 5-round point fighter is Colby Covington, really, and he's 1-2 in his last 3. So but regardless, we should dive into this card. It's been like a half hour, so before we start, just want to remind everybody, please like this video if you like it. Go like our other stuff too. You can see my picks personally weren't perfect this past week the way that they have been. Ending 2022, I had some pretty great picks. Not a great way to start out 2023, but go like those videos anyway. I guarantee I'm going to go better this week. Subscribe too. This really helps us out if you subscribe to our videos. And
we've been getting a couple, like 3 to 5 subscribers a week. I think we're up to somewhere around like the 225, 226 range. I think we finished around 217 in December. So we appreciate everyone who's subscribing and liking the videos. At a certain point, we had 4 or 5 viewers on this video right here, live viewers with us. So go ahead, drop us a like, give us a comment. We will respond. We want to hear what your thoughts are on Jon Jones, on this upcoming UFC 283. UFC Vegas 67, 63, whatever it is. I still have a gripe with the UFC and their naming. Tell us what you think about Dana White. Let's make this a discussion, guys.
Yeah, and check us out on Spotify as well. Check out our Twitters, our personal Twitters, @_Pickin Winners. That's where you can check out all the content we do. Right now, football is in full swing, in playoff mode. Personal pick for today, I'm ripping the Giants money line. I like that. That's a good dog. Even better, I had last night, and I'm rolling with the same bet today. Chargers to win the first half, Jaguars to win the full game. Jaguars came back from that 27-point deficit, 130. Today I'm rolling plus 800 with Vikings to win the first half, Giants to win the full game. That's also plus 800. They won't give you that over there on Pickin 6. That's my pick, but check out what they got for that slate today. All right. So, yeah, definitely leave some stuff in the chat. I want to talk with some people outside of Tom. Me and Tom are talking, but I want some chats.